The silence was so complete that even the studio's air conditioning seemed to hold its breath. Steve Harvey stood frozen at his podium, his cards scattered across the floor where he dropped them moments before. In 40 years of television, he had never seen anything like what was happening. The cameras kept rolling, but this was no longer a game show. It had become something sacred. 37-year-old Lisa Chen sat in the contestant chair, her thin frame wrapped in a beautiful blue dress that her daughter had picked out specially for this day. Her head was covered by a colorful silk scarf that couldn't hide the fact that her hair had fallen out months ago. But what struck everyone wasn't what cancer had taken from her. It was the light in her eyes when she looked at her 3 children. 11-year-old David stood tall, like the little man he'd been forced to become. 9-year-old Sophie clutched her lucky bracelet, the one Lisa had given her before starting chemotherapy. And 6-year-old Tommy bounced on his toes with boundless energy, completely unaware that his world was about to change forever. The Chen family had driven 8 hours from Sacramento to Los Angeles in their aging minivan, loaded with snacks and nervous excitement. Lisa had applied for Family Feud 6 months earlier, back when her doctors were still using words like treatment options and fighting chance. The diagnosis had come 18 months ago, stage 4 pancreatic cancer. The survival rates were brutal. Less than 5% lived beyond 5 years. Lisa had endured the Whipple procedure, 6 months of chemotherapy, radiation therapy, and experimental treatments. Through it all, she'd maintained her job teaching 2nd grade, wearing colorful scarves that made her feel beautiful even when she felt broken. Her husband Michael had wanted her to cancel the show. "You're too weak," he'd said gently. But Lisa knew there wouldn't be a when she was feeling stronger. The latest scan had shown new tumors in her liver. Her oncologist had started using phrases like palliative care and making the most of the time we have. The children didn't know the full truth. David suspected something serious. He was too observant not to notice the hushed conversations. Sophie had asked why Mommy was always tired. Tommy just knew that Mommy needed extra hugs and couldn't play as much as she used to. "This might be our last family adventure," Lisa had told Michael quietly as they packed. "I want them to have this memory." During family introductions, Lisa had surprised everyone with her energy. "I'm Lisa Chen," she had said with a smile that lit up the studio. "I'm a mom, a teacher, and apparently a game show contestant." Steve had knelt down to speak with Tommy. "What do you want to be when you grow up?" "A superhero," Tommy had replied. "Like my mommy. She fights bad guys every day." The audience had let out in collective awe, thinking it was just a cute comment. Only Lisa and Michael understood the heartbreaking truth. She was fighting cells that had turned against her. The game progressed normally through 3 rounds. Lisa had surprised everyone by buzzing in with quick, accurate answers. For 45 minutes, she wasn't a cancer patient. She was just a mom, having fun with her kids. But during the 4th round, everything changed. Steve asked, "Name something families do together to celebrate." Before David could answer, Tommy tugged on his mother's dress. "Mommy," he said, his voice carrying through his microphone, "when you get better from being sick, can we go to Disney World like you promised?" The question hung in the air like a butterfly with broken wings. Lisa's face went pale. The audience fell silent as they realized they were witnessing something much more serious than they had understood. "We talked about this, sweetheart," Lisa said softly. "Mommy is still working on getting better." But Tommy persisted. "But you said, maybe after the TV show. Are you still too sick? Because you look pretty today." Lisa's carefully constructed facade began to crumble. Her hands started to shake. David stepped closer, sensing something wrong. Sophie reached for Tommy's hand. Steve slowly set down his microphone. Something in Lisa's expression told him this moment required his full attention. The studio fell completely silent. "Tommy," Lisa whispered. "Come here, sweetheart." Tommy bounded over to his mother. David and Sophie followed. Lisa pulled all 3 children close, and for a moment, the family huddle blocked out the cameras and bright lights. "Babies," Lisa said, her voice thick with tears. "Mommy needs to tell you something important." Steve Harvey, recognizing that he was witnessing something profound, made a decision that would define his legacy. He stepped down from his podium and held up his hand to the production team. "Stop everything," he said. "Stop the music. Stop the timer. Stop the game." He looked directly at Lisa. "Mrs. Chen, you take all the time you need." The entire studio fell silent. Lisa looked up at Steve through her tears. "I don't know how to tell them." Steve knelt beside the family huddle. "You tell them what's in your heart," he said simply. "You tell them what they need to hear." Lisa took a shaky breath and began the hardest conversation of her life. "My beautiful babies," she said. "Mommy has been fighting some very bad germs in her body for a long time. The doctors have been helping me fight with very strong medicine, but the germs are very strong." David nodded solemnly. Sophie's eyes filled with tears. Tommy hugged his mother tighter. "Are you going to die, Mom?" David asked, his voice small but brave. Lisa's breath caught. "I don't know for sure, sweetheart. The doctors are still trying to help me fight. But what I do know is that every single day I have with you three is the most precious gift in the world." Tommy pulled back to look at his mother. "But what about Disney World?" Lisa smiled through her tears. "You know what, Tommy? We might not be able to go together, but that doesn't mean you can't go, and it doesn't mean I won't be with you." She pointed to his chest. "I live right here now. Every time you see Mickey Mouse, I'll be right there with you. And Sophie," Lisa continued, "you have the biggest heart of anyone I know. I need you to take care of that heart and share all that love with your brothers. And David, you're already such a strong, good man. Being strong doesn't mean you can't cry. It means you love people even when it hurts." Steve stood up slowly. "Mrs. Chen, in all my years of hosting, I have never seen courage like what you just showed. Real courage." He looked around the studio. "And I want to make you a promise. Your children are going to Disney World. My foundation will make sure of that. But more than that, we're going to make sure they know their mother's story." Steve knelt back down and looked at Tommy. "Your mommy is the strongest person I've ever met, and she'll be with you at Disney World. She'll be with you everywhere you go." Tommy nodded seriously. "Will you come with us too, Mr. Steve?" "You know what, buddy? Yes, I will." The applause that followed wasn't typical game show applause. It was recognition, respect, love. The Williams family crossed the stage to embrace the Chen family. Audience members were standing, many openly weeping. Lisa stood up slowly and addressed the audience directly. "If you're watching this, and you have people you love, don't wait to tell them. Don't wait to hug them. Time is the only thing we can't get more of. But love multiplies when you give it away." She looked at her children one more time. "And if you're watching this, my babies, years from now, know that your mommy's love for you was bigger than any disease, stronger than any fear, and it will last longer than any lifetime." What happened after the cameras stopped rolling became legendary. Steve kept every promise. The Disney trip was magical, professionally documented as a visual love letter from Lisa to her children. He helped Lisa write Mommy's Heart Lives Here, a children's book about love that transcends presence. Lisa passed away 3 months after the episode aired. She had held on long enough to finish her book and record voice messages for future milestones she wouldn't attend. The episode sparked a national conversation about family communication during terminal illness. Hospitals incorporated clips into counseling programs. Medical schools used it to teach compassionate care. David is now in medical school, specializing in pediatric oncology. Sophie works as a grief counselor for children and families. Tommy volunteers at the Children's Hospital, bringing presents to children facing scary realities. Every year, the Chen children write to Steve Harvey. The letters have evolved from crayon drawings to eloquent reflections on how their mother's final gift continues to shape their lives. The lesson Lisa Chen taught is simple but profound. Love doesn't end when life does. The conversations we have, the truths we share, the courage we show, these become the foundation on which others build their strength. Steve learned that sometimes the most important thing you can do is create space for people to love each other, to speak truth, to be brave in the face of impossible odds, because that's what real courage looks like. That's what unconditional love sounds like. And that's what happens when a mother's final gift becomes a reminder that every moment is precious. Every person we love is a treasure, and every day is an opportunity to choose love over fear. Lisa smiled through her tears, and in that moment, every parent in the studio felt their heart break a little. You know what, Tommy? We might not be able to go to Disney World together, but that doesn't mean you can't go, and it doesn't mean I won't be with you. She pointed to his chest, right over his heart. I live right here now, and every time you see Mickey Mouse, every time you go on a ride, every time you eat a churro or see fireworks, I'll be right there with you, feeling everything you feel. Steve Harvey, who had made millions of people laugh over the decades, found himself fighting back tears. Around the studio, there wasn't a dry eye. The cameras continued rolling, but everyone understood they were documenting something much more important than a game show. And Sophie, Lisa continued, turning to her middle daughter, you have the biggest heart of anyone I know. I need you to take care of that heart and to share all that love with your brothers. Can you do that for me? Sophie nodded through her tears. I can do that, Mommy. And David, Lisa said, looking at her eldest son, you're already such a strong, good man. I'm so proud of who you are. I need you to remember that being strong doesn't mean you can't cry. It doesn't mean you can't ask for help. It means you love people even when it hurts. David threw his arms around his mother's neck. I love you, Mom. I love you so much. I love you too, baby. I love all three of you, more than all the stars in the sky. Steve, who had been quietly witnessing this exchange, slowly stood up. When he spoke, his voice carried a gravity that silenced the entire studio. Mrs. Chen, he said, I want you to know something. In all my years of hosting, I have never seen courage like what you just showed. Not the kind that wins games or gets applause. Real courage, the kind that changes people. He looked around the studio, at the audience, at the cameras, at the Williams family, who were openly crying at their podium. And I want to make you a promise, Steve continued. Right here, right now, in front of everyone. Your children are going to Disney World. My foundation is going to make sure of that. But more than that, we're going to make sure they know their mother's story. We're going to make sure they understand what real love looks like. He knelt back down and looked directly at Tommy. Your mommy is the strongest person I've ever met. And you know what? She's right. She'll be with you at Disney World. She'll be with you everywhere you go. Tommy nodded seriously, processing this in the way that 6-year-olds do. Will you come with us too, Mr. Steve? To make sure Mommy can find us? The question was so innocent, so purely hopeful, that Steve had to pause to collect himself. You know what, buddy? Yes, I will. He stood and addressed the entire studio. Sometimes, television gives us the chance to do something more important than entertain. Sometimes, it gives us the chance to witness love in its purest form. Today, Mrs. Lisa Chen has reminded all of us what really matters. The applause that followed wasn't the typical game show applause. It was something deeper: recognition, respect, love. The Williams family left their podium and crossed the stage to embrace the Chen family. Audience members were standing, many openly weeping, but Lisa wasn't finished. She looked up at Steve and asked, "Can I say one more thing?" Steve nodded and handed her his microphone. Lisa stood up slowly. Her children gathered around her and addressed the audience and cameras directly. If you're watching this and you have people you love, don't wait. Don't wait to tell them. Don't wait to hug them. Don't wait to make memories. Time is the only thing we can't get more of, but love multiplies when you give it away. She looked at her children one more time. And if you're watching this, my babies, years from now, when you're grown up, know that your mommy's love for you was bigger than any disease, stronger than any fear, and it will last longer than any lifetime. The studio erupted in applause again, but this time it felt like a standing ovation for life itself, for love, for the courage to speak truth in the face of impossible pain. What happened after the cameras stopped rolling would become the subject of countless articles and social media posts. Steve Harvey didn't just make promises on television, he kept them with unwavering dedication. Within a week, His foundation had arranged for the Chen family to spend a week at Disney World, all expenses paid. Steve worked personally with Disney's VIP services to create a completely customized experience, arranging for the family to stay in the Cinderella Castle suite and enjoy private character breakfasts. More importantly, Steve arranged for professional video equipment to document every moment of the trip. These weren't just vacation memories, they were a visual love letter from Lisa to her children, something they could treasure forever. The resulting footage captured Lisa's laughter on rides, her tears of joy watching Tommy's face during fireworks, and quiet moments where she whispered messages meant for her children to discover years later. Steve also connected Lisa with children's book publisher Scholastic Books and award-winning illustrator Maria Santos, working from her hospital bed during her final weeks. Lisa poured her heart into Mommy's Heart Lives Here, a beautifully illustrated story about love that transcends physical presence. She recorded herself reading the book aloud, creating an audiobook that would allow her children to hear bedtime stories long after she was gone. Lisa Chen passed away on a quiet Tuesday morning 3 months after the episode aired. She had held on long enough to see her children's faces light up at Disney World, long enough to finish her book and record voice messages for future birthdays, graduations, and weddings she wouldn't be able to attend. The episode became one of the most watched and shared in Family Feud history, viewed more than 50 million times across platforms. But more importantly, it sparked a national conversation about how families discuss illness, death, and love. Hospitals began incorporating clips of Lisa's conversation into their family counseling programs. Medical schools used the episode to teach future doctors about compassionate care. The impact extended far beyond the medical community. Churches organized family discussion groups, schools implemented empathy programs, and companies revised their family leave policies. After employees shared Lisa's story, David, Sophie, and Tommy Chen are now young adults. David is in medical school, specializing in pediatric oncology. Sophie works as a therapist, specializing in grief counseling for children and families. Tommy volunteers at the local children's hospital, bringing his presence to children facing scary realities. Every year on the anniversary of the show, the Chen children write letters to Steve Harvey. The letters have evolved from crayon drawings to eloquent reflections on how their mother's final gift continues to shape their lives. Steve frames each letter and keeps them in his office, a reminder of the day when entertainment became ministry. Michael Chen remarried 5 years after Lisa's death to Sarah, a grief counselor who had helped the family navigate their loss. The children welcomed Sarah, understanding that loving her didn't diminish their love for Lisa. At the wedding, they played Lisa's recording of Mommy's Heart Lives Here, and there wasn't a dry eye in the church. The lesson that Lisa Chen taught a television studio and millions of viewers is simple but profound. Love doesn't end when life does. The conversations we have, the truths we share, the courage we show in our darkest moments, these become the foundation on which others build their strength. Steve Harvey learned something that day that changed how he approaches every show, every family, every moment he spends in front of those cameras. He learned that sometimes the most important thing you can do is simply create space for people to love each other, to speak truth, to be brave in the face of impossible odds. Because that's what real courage looks like. That's what unconditional love sounds like. And that's what happens when a mother's final gift to her children becomes a reminder to the world that every moment we have is precious, every person we love is a treasure, and every day we're given is an opportunity to choose love over fear. The microphone may have fallen silent, but Lisa's voice continues to echo in the hearts of everyone who witnessed her courage that day, reminding us all that the most powerful moments in life happen not when we're winning, but when we're loving with everything we have, while we still can.